everyone. Welcome back to Afro Expats. My name is Michelle. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Mimi, who's over in Playa del Carmen. I'll let her tell you her story, where she's from. Thank you so much for joining us again. Again, these are my lifestyle series to inform everyone about the different people that are in and around Mexico, especially from a Black expat perspective and lens. And we really find that a lot of folks have very interesting and unique stories and journeys. And I'm really, really happy to have Mimi here and anyone else that has agreed to volunteer their time to talk to me. So go ahead, Mimi, tell us where you're from and where you are.
Well, I'm Liberian from West Africa.
Okay.
I was born in America, but then raised in Africa for my first few years. Then grew up in New York, in actual New York City, Staten Island, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Bronx. Then I lived in Atlanta for a good 20-year period. And after Atlanta, when my daughter went off to college, I moved to Connecticut. I had family, in the Northeast. And it just wasn't it. It just wasn't it. I've always kind of been a nomad. One consistent thing I find amongst all of us expats, people have chosen to live other than their home country, is that in our respective circles at home, we've always been the different one, the outcast, the black sheep, the out of the box.
So true.
The
Rolling Stone.
Whatever label that those who don't understand how our brains work want to put on us to make us more palatable for them. So I find that to be common no matter where we are in our journeys or what we do in our industries while we're here, that everybody has that same experience in their family and friends groups at home. We're the different one because it takes a certain amount of intestinal fortitude to just pack up everything and say, yep, I just live in a different country now. Nope, don't speak the language, but I'm gonna live there.
You'll be okay, right?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with our respective faith in our Creator. I don't get into semantics, he, she, it, they, them, Buddha, God, Jehovah, whatever you call them, everybody is clear, you didn't make yourself. So however you choose to connect your Creator, I think that ultimately the majority of us who have taken that leap of faith to live in a different country, to live outside of the norm, have an understanding that our Creator has everything in control at the end of the day. So regardless of what happens or where I am or what political climate or financial climate it is, that we're going to be okay because this is what was put in our heart to do.
Correct. I agree with that 100%. And I like that you said, the whole black sheep, rolling stone thing, because I definitely fall into that category. And I just wanted to also point out that I grew up in Connecticut. So that's kind of interesting that we have this in common. I'm very familiar with New York, and then I moved around a little bit in the US as well, and originally from Canada. So I don't really share that all the time with every conversation. But so first of all, how long have you been in Mexico? How long?
I have now been in Mexico for 9 months.
Okay.
My first 2 months I spent living in Tulum, which I love Tulum. It's gorgeous. It just got to be too much for me. The infrastructure can't support how quickly it's growing. So as a visitor, it's amazing. You'll go, you'll have a great time, but living day to day and being able to perform the day-to-day tasks, things like internet and consistency of electricity are important. They have the consistency, but because they're building out so quickly, every day there's an issue with one of the basic necessities, whether it's water, whether it's electricity, Wi-Fi. So for that reason, while I was in Tulum, I was scouting out different cities. I've been to Merida several times. I had the pleasure of visiting Mexico City recently. And Playa del Carmen was just a good move for me. It was local enough to everything that I could do day trips or overnight trips everywhere that I wanted to visit within the country. But it's still a few hours from home. So, from where my family is, now this is home, but where my family is, it's just a few hours away. So that was a big factor. And the fact that I live 10 blocks from the beach.
I know. That's amazing. I mean, most people who move to Mexico, or at least a lot of folks, they think about that. You know, they think Mexico Beach. So I think you're one of the first few people that I'm speaking to that's kind of close to the beach in Mexico. And, you know, everyone has like a varying viewpoint on living close to the beach or living where it's really hot or warm or whatever. But how do you like it? How do you like Playa in general as the city goes?
I love Playa as a city. One, we have an extremely strong and supportive community. Specifically, the Black expat community is hella strong, hella supportive. We have great events and support each other in our various, whatever we're doing business-wise, you know, just on a check-in basis, because we're all kind of out here solo, collectively.
Right.
I do not personally, I don't like living in Central. A lot of the expats do live in Central, which, you know, the downtown tourist area right off of Fifth. It's a very nice area. I take all my visitors there and we have events and things there. But I live on what they call the other side of the bridge. I literally live just across the highway. Nobody in my building speaks English.
Okay. So you're in a local neighborhood.
Yeah, but I live in a working class neighborhood.
Okay.
So it's beautiful because, you know, in general, people in Mexico mind their business and they don't care what you're doing as long as you mind your business and you can afford what you ask for, they'll mind their business. And being in a working class, like people kind of stigmatize Mexico based on the tourist areas that they visited, not understanding that the tourist areas are the hot spots. That's where all the criminals go. That's where the hustlers go. That's where everybody goes to try to come up. But in general, in Mexico, people do not have that attitude at all. They're very honest, very helpful. Collectivo is the mindset of the general Mexico community. So even things like homelessness, you'll see the occasional homeless person, but very rarely will you see a homeless person that has nobody to take care of them. There's a family checking on them, someone in the neighborhood. And being in the working class neighborhood, everybody works for their stuff, so nobody bothers yours.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a very good point to make, you know, that collectively, the Mexican culture is very supportive when it comes to family. You know, they do really stick together. And I don't know if I've ever seen really a homeless person, a real homeless person. I've seen a lot of immigrants that, you know, migrate from the South and other countries from the south of Mexico. And even in that situation, a lot of people will stop and give them money. They're always at the like lights or whatever, but not that many, you know. And I think that's a great point to make because I know when I lived in Florida, it was very common to see serious homeless people, you know, just like living on the streets. And you don't see that, at least I don't see that often at all in this area. And you're not seeing it either. So,
well, you definitely see it. Again, you see it when you're in the central area, you see it more because they're out there, you know, they figure the tourists will give them more money than the locals will. So that's kind of the attraction for everybody, you know, crooks, criminals, hoes, hookers, everything.
I've heard it. I've heard about it. So if you're moving or considering moving to Playa, I think maybe consider moving outside of the tourist traps and you know, if that's really where you want to call home. So what is like, just tell me a little bit about the Black expat community. I know it's strong, and I've seen sites and pages that have popped up in the last, you know, year to year and a half, and they've grown like crazy. And I love it. I just love it.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And it's interesting, like how I stumbled into when I got to Mexico originally in October of 2020. And Mexico was not on my radar. I've always had this plan in my head that when my daughter went out, you know, she graduated, I was going to live from beach to beach and float around the world. And I had this big plan in my head. So first I'm going to save 100,000 in this account. Then I'll save in this account, and then I'm gonna use this account to do this, and then, you know, so there was this whole master plan in my head. None of that happened. None of it.
That's life, girl.
So the original plan was Africa. My family's from Africa. We have property out there. My grandmother passed away, you know, last year. So we had business to take care of, and we couldn't get into Africa. And a very good friend of my sister, shout out to Nisha Barnes, T Barnes Global Travel.
Oh, I know. I've heard of her. Okay, go ahead.
She's an amazing human being. Global travel is really a lifestyle for her. She was doing it way before anybody even knew it was a real thing to do. So I've kind of had this, you know, these whisperings and inklings of what she was doing. And she was creating the Black Freedom Colony to go to Morocco. She transformed the whole palace out in the middle of the desert into this amazing artist colony. It's luxurious. It's everything cool that no one would ever even conceive was in the middle of the desert in Morocco.
Beautiful.
But during COVID, she originally got quarantined out there. And when she finally got out, she couldn't come right back. So she detoured to Tulum.
Okay.
And ended up getting a whole apartment building and all of these Black families, not just single people like me, but people with little babies, teenagers, husbands, wives, you know, and everybody we rented these apartments, and we were like the Black building in Aldea Zama in Tulum for a couple of months. Like,
you know, I saw that before, I think when she was promoting it, and this was kind of like right after what happened with George Floyd's situation.
Correct.
And it was such a boom. I remember someone in Merida sharing it with me, and I was like, oh, this is a cool concept, but I didn't really follow it. So how did that work out? I remember seeing some after shots and pictures maybe of the group, but it looked very community, and that was really a nice thing to see. How did that go? How did it work out?
It was really good. It for all of us in that particular in the Freedom Colony, it gave us a tool set. Like basically, it was a practice run for all of us, figuring out how we're going to live outside of the society that we were raised in America, and what that looked like for each of our families respectively. Getting accustomed to things like water issues or electricity issues when they arise, you know, and problem solving, and collectively, you know, whether we were doing dinners or group events or, you know, just problem solving in general, it gave us a practice ground for sharpening these skill sets that you need to be able to live with people from all over the world and all different backgrounds who may not have the same point of reference as you. But the consistency of all of us having the Black American experience kind of unified us. Like, yeah, we need something better. We need something different. We need something safer. So how I ended up there, now that's the funny story, because it was not even on my radar. Like I said, I didn't even know Mexico was a thing. And right during that time, during pandemic, when everybody was going through whatever they were going through financially, emotionally, I was, I was in line for a job. I'm an audio engineer by trade. That's what I do. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've had consulting companies for about the last 15, almost 20 years.
Oh, wow.
I've had my consulting companies, and I help businesses build and do all these, you know, other things. But by trade, I'm an audio engineer.
Okay.
I'm somewhat what they call a unicorn, because first, there are very few female engineers. There's even fewer Black female engineers, and there's even fewer Black female engineers that show up as themselves, as opposed to trying to look like one of the boys. I show up, I'll put a scarf on my head to protect it from, you know, because I'm in drop ceilings running 3,000 feet of, 300 feet of Cat 6 cable through drop ceilings and basement walls. So I'll have my hair tied up, but her hair is going to be done, you know.
Right.
I don't keep long nails when I'm wiring and stuff because they break, but I'm going to have a manicure. That's not, they consider that a unicorn.
Oh, okay.
It's very rare that you'll see it.
I'm not mad at you, girl.
So that's the trade and the industry that I was working in. But I've literally been doing hair since I was 8 years old. I've been
Okay.
making hair products since I was 10 years old.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know how I knew to make hair products at 10 years old, but I did.
Right.
I literally quit doing hair more than I've actually done anything in my life out of frustration or anger or whatever, you know, just like, that's it. I'm not doing it anymore. Yo, people want your hair debt free. I'm done. And then the next week, I'm doing my cousin again. I'm opening a shop, or I've always had a shop space somewhere because we're kind of taught the thing that we love to do, because hair is literally gives me life. I talk to hair. It's a whole thing. I heal hair. It's not about the braiding and the styling for me. Of course, when you get up, you're going to be fly. Nobody gets out of my chair looking crazy. You're going to be fly. But more important for me is that the health of your hair. You know, is it because when you braid and twist, you're manhandling your hair, so it has to be strong enough to withstand that. And the piece that people don't understand is that your hair is connected to your spirit, is connected to your body. It's all connected. You can put all the moisturizer you want in your hair. If you're not drinking water, your hair is going to be dry.
That's
if you're
true.
Your hair is going to be dry. If you're stressed out, your hair is going to be thin and break and fall out. It doesn't matter what product you're putting in it. Okay. So kind of putting the holistic piece to, that's where we get the Mimi hair healer thing from, because yes, you're going to be flawed, but besides just, you know, I heal hair, heal hearts, all of these other things.
So tell me a little bit more about that, because I know we kind of met online in a different conversation, and it was about hair products. And I know that you were making a run to the US and you were talking about, you know, if anyone needed anything, like, let me know. This was on one of my platforms, and this is how we met. And then of course, my search to find people to talk to, we are now actually talking. So tell me a little bit more about your your shop and what you're doing, and also your mobile, that you know, you're willing to travel around Mexico to help us out, because we need it.
When I first came to, how I got to Mexico was, you know, it was around between George Floyd, and I went to the gun range, and, you know, while I was at the gun range in Connecticut, I heard these good old boys having conversations. They're teaching their wives and children to shoot automatic rifles and weapons, which I was also shooting, and having conversations like, we don't care what happened November, we gonna be ready. Excuse me, white man, please tell me if something's happening I need to know about. So that kind of spurred me on to have the conversation with Tanisha, like, hey, here's the skill set I have. What can I do to help support the colony? And she said, and she knew I did hair, but when I reiterated, she was like, oh my God, in Mexico, they have everything, but they don't have Black hair care. There's no Black hair care products. There's no Black hair care, period. You can't get the synthetic hair they sell is plastic. That stuff tears our hair up. So, you know, so when I came with the intention I was just going to help the colony do hair, enjoy a couple of months in Mexico, and go back refreshed. Well, the way my creator works, he had set up a whole situation prior that I wasn't even aware of, where I ended up working with a Black-owned beauty supply distributor that loaded me up with beauty supplies when I first came. So after I came and I got to Mexico, and I was like, wow, there's all these Black people. I couldn't believe there were this many Black people living here, not just visiting. So that's when I started discovering the Merida and the Oaxaca and the Playa del Carmen. And as I started visiting different cities with my mobile business, I was in touch with various groups, and I would have clients, you know, book me. If I had 5 or more clients in Merida, I would take a week trip out to Merida. You know, if I have, you know, 3 or more clients in Playa del Carmen, I'll take a trip out there. Same thing, Oaxaca, Mexico City. So I started getting to see these cities, and also satisfying a need in the Black community for the products for us. And so I have a pipeline that, you know, every time I have a shipment going on, because it's way more expensive to ship products than to literally get on a plane
and go get them,
a suitcase, and bring it back with me.
I know.
So I try to extend that opportunity to the Black folks here who need products other than what I have in stock. But also part of the hair healing, I make a lot of natural hair products. I make custom hair products. I have clients with alopecia, with various balding issues, you know, stress tears on their hair follicles from years of pinching and pulling. Excuse me. So I make rice water. I make flaxseed gel. I make protein treatments. I make a deep lock. It seems everybody in Mexico has locks.
So I know, sister locks, right? Everyone. Yeah. I think it's just easy for that to be like the style because they can do it themselves, or just
and they get here to see how hard the water is in the beach water. And so I make all natural lock treatments for deep cleansing, for moisturizing, to help kind of get the gunk out of people's locks over the years and soften it and make it feel like hair again, instead of like the dried up
brittle
stuff that over time. So I make a lot of hair products as well, all organic, without chemicals, in addition to the stuff that I import, just to kind of support the healing process. You know, this space is a very healing space, specifically for those of us who have fled America as Black expats. You know, I get all the time, "Are you safe there?" And I'm like, "I'm safer here than there."
Yeah, I just roll my eyes. I don't even bother. People are always ending phone calls and sending me messages with "Stay safe."
That have never been outside of their city.
Yeah, or not too often, or too many places. I mean, obviously everyone has to be safe wherever you are, but I think you especially need to be safe in the US. You know, I can honestly say that Mexico has a very violent history, right? But it's kind of very specific. It's specific to certain situations and things. It's not so random. I feel like the US, it's so random. It's dangerously random.
It's random because you have people who don't like people or want to kill people based on things that have no merit. Basing it on my skin color and not something I did to you or somebody did to you is mentally crazy. It's just it's crazy. That's not something. Here in Mexico, the worst thing that I have had to worry about, which I still haven't, I've had encounters with the police and still have had no issues, is maybe I'll go home broke. They might take my money, but I'll go home. They're not interested in harming me. They're interested in being better. They're not interested in being better to my detriment. And that's the thing. It's with the superiority and inferiority thing. You have to be superior at somebody else's expense. And I'd rather it not be the expense of my life.
Exactly. And that's the difference. I mean, I've been here for 3+ years, and I know that I don't know, they had a period of time in San Miguel where they had issues, and I'm going to be very honest about that. And it was in 2019, and it was kind of scary for me because I had done so much research in where to move to in Mexico, and San Miguel for me was just the place. You know, I mean, I think we all find our place, and I've traveled in and out of Mexico for a lot of years, but for this chapter of my life and having my son and also my husband having a space to just kind of transition into and feel comfortable in doing that, this was our choice. And I did all this. I was like, no, there's no crime, there's no this, that, because he had never been to Mexico. So it was a new experience for him to pick up and move, because he had like those, stereotypes and thoughts about what Mexico was, because we were taught a certain thing by media in the US. Long story short, when we got here, everything was perfect. And then in 2019, they were having a lot of city issues within the city. And I really do believe that they were extremely targeted situations, because every homicide, really realistically, that happened, it was a very specific thing. It was not random. It was always a very specific thing. So not to say that, I felt comfortable about that, but I remember for a moment, I was just like, oh, should we consider going somewhere else? And I also didn't trivialize it, but I remember thinking, like, I remember listening to the news on a regular basis in Florida, and there was always something about someone getting shot, and I just like it went over my head because it didn't affect me directly. in regard to in my city. You know, if it didn't have to do with me or someone I knew, I was kind of like, okay, you know, it's just another day of watching the news. And then suddenly here I was like, oh my God, you know, whatever. And I thought, okay, Michelle, like, why are you panicking so much? What's kind of the difference for you? And I'm not trivializing it. I was just trying to figure out what was going on in my mindset and how was I viewpointing and what was I feeling and why was I feeling this way? And I think it started to turn back into that, you know, stereotyping kind of thing. And I said, okay, well, I'll keep an eye on it because it is a smaller place, it's a smaller city, and it could affect me in terms of wrong place at the wrong time. But then suddenly we got good again. I'm grateful for it. And I know that there's some very, you know, safe areas. This is one of them in Mexico. So the point of saying that is that, yes, we always have to be aware everywhere we are in the world, period. That's just a fact.
I like to tell when you know, when people start asking me about that. First of all, I grew up in the projects in New York, so you can drop me in the middle of the Gaza Strip. What is for me? If God is for me, who can be against me?
Right, true.
Let's start with that. But the reality is, if you have a vagina, you're not safe anywhere in the world.
True.
If you have a Black vagina, you're even less safe in the world.
That's true.
It doesn't matter where you are or where you're not. Women, we're literally born from the time we're babies and our parents are telling us don't sit on so-and-so's lap. We're literally born being taught to keep our head on a swivel because as a female, you are more at risk for certain things happening to you than men are. It sucks, it's not fair, but if you're aware of these things, you can move better in the world. True. So I don't operate from a place of fear. I'm also I can fight. The Lord has gotten hold to my heart. But I literally faced down a robber here that when we were in Central, a robber snatched my daughter's purse. And I can't run in real life, but because it was my daughter, I guess Mama Bear kicked in. I chased him down and the locals helped me catch him and we beat him down till the police got there. He got his behind for every expat that ever had something stolen from them. And he wasn't Mexican.
Wow.
So when people hear the story back home about, you know, how my daughter got her purse stolen, people are not going to hear some white looking dude who was drunk on the beach tried to steal my daughter's purse in Mexico. They're going to assume a Mexican tried to steal her purse, and that's not the case.
Right. That's true.
So just in general in life, no matter where you are in the world, you kind of, once you have female parts, you learn to operate with your head on a swivel.
That's true.
To keep yourself safe. But I honestly have to say, I feel safer here than I feel in the States. The Mexican men here, well, the men in general, from anywhere else in the world in general, respect and revere women, but specifically Black women. It is very misogynist in their attitudes towards work, but there's an advantage to that when it comes to feminine safety. There's not a man that will see me struggling with the bag and not at least offer.
Exactly, or anything for that matter.
There's a certain level of care that comes with being a woman here that I will not get in the States or many other places that I travel in the world. Right. Because they literally regard you as la reina, as a queen. Right.
No, it's true.
That's important. That's important in your general interactions to at least be respected enough that I'm not going to run up on you unless I'm about to hit a lip. Nobody's trying to run up on me unless they specific. I'm also going to be mindful to not take out a bunch of pesos and let them watch it in my purse.
Swinging jewelry.
If they don't know money's in there, but if they see me put money in there, they might try it. And it doesn't have anything to do with black, white, orange, or red. It's they're trying to come up, and that will come up. I tell people all the time, nobody's looking for a hard target.
Right. No, of course not.
So if you're mindful of those things, you tend to be safer than, and also they can smell fear. They know who's walking around, oh my gosh, walking on the phone and, looking around, you set yourself up to be a target.
That's true.
It's not fair that you can't do those things and walk around, but it is what it is. And once you're aware of those things, it's peaceful to me to see the police with their semi-automatic weapons out there.
Oh yeah, I see them all the time. Initially, I was kind of like, but I get it. I mean, it's their culture, it's the way they do things, it's a show of, hey, we're around, and I'm so used to it. And they ride around on the back of the pickup trucks.
They're not looking to harm the people.
No.
And anyone who wants to try the police is clear. The police is here for the smoke.
Exactly.
So it's not going to be no random, just random drive-by crime, because they know the police is with all the smoke. Who would take that chance?
Exactly. That's true.
So it's all about perspective. Mm-hmm. It's really all about perspective and where you are in your life and your comfort level. Mm-hmm. My comfort level is such that my faith is strong enough that I know if I move with caution throughout the world, if it's everybody around me could fall down in gunfire. If it's not my time, it's not my time.
Amen to that. I believe that very strongly.
Once you understand and you operate in that, you don't have to live in that place of fear.
Right.
Then you can move accordingly throughout the world. I still don't walk down any of the side streets. And when I got here, I didn't speak Spanish fluently. Now I speak Spanish fluently. Okay. I still don't walk down any side streets at night by myself. If I'm by myself, I always walk on the main street, or I take a taxi, or I'm texting somebody, hey, about to get in this taxi number, whatever, so that there's a trail of breadcrumbs. If you don't hear from me in 2 hours, somebody come look for me.
Right.
But that's more out of common sense. I would do that anywhere I am in the world.
Exactly.
Because I'm in Mexico. And I understand the perspective of the friends and family because it's from a place of caring, but it's also slightly annoying because it's literally the same stereotype that we're all running from.
And especially when you speak to multiple people and you just hear it all the time. I mean, I don't get it so much now. And I've been fortunate. Well, I'll say fortunate. I can say that quite a few of my friends have come down and they loved it. Some wanted to stay, some want to return. Almost everyone was very impressed with what Mexico had to offer and where we live. I think they were not expecting that, but that's a good thing. I don't try to sell it. I just am like, hey, if you want to experience it, you will. But, I'm not going to worry about just, your fears about the situation here, because I feel like I could be anywhere. I lived in Florida and I had, gunshots around me throughout my lifetime. It happened in Connecticut, it happened in Florida several times. And I just, it hasn't happened here. So I'm happy about that. Knock on wood,
The reality is that everything is not for everybody. When people come to Mexico to visit me, I don't try to sell them on coming to Mexico. I'm like, do what you're doing. Since you can't do what I do, God literally told me to turn down a job that they were meeting. When you go into a negotiation, you go with your highest number for them to talk you down. I went in with my highest number. They said, done.
Okay.
It was a job I'd already been doing for free for 3.5 years. In a church I'd already been a member of for 4.5 years and had family ties all through it. And God was like, no, that job's not for you. I was like, oh no, not the God I serve. He wouldn't make me in the middle of a pandemic or turn down money. So it was a whole thing. People don't know the whole process, but it was a whole thing. There was prayer closets and crying and fasting and Jesus, no, all these things involved. So finally got my spirit in line and got obedient. And within days of me respectfully declining the position like God told me to, because I still couldn't believe I was supposed to turn down this position. Within less than a week, Mexico became available. I got the opportunity to come down for 2 months, and had I taken the job, I wouldn't have been able to leave for more than 2 days at a time.
Okay, wow.
I came down, I was doing the thing that I've loved to do, and I have over 20,000 master's hours of doing that.
Wow.
37 years, literally 37 years of experience.
Wow.
And So I got invited to do the thing that I've already been doing my whole life, that I love to do, and that nobody else can do like me. And it was all during a part of I was already on a healing journey, a little spiritual journey. God was revealing other spiritual gifts and healing and things like that to me. So it was all in divine timing, and it all culminated at the same time. Like, oh, all these Black folks here. This is I'm coming back. So during the 2 months in Tulum, did hair there, had the mobile business, visited cities and everything, and then decided I went back to Connecticut. I sold, threw away, gave away everything.
Wow.
Everything. My entire life fit into 2 check bags in a carry-on.
Wow. Wow.
And I came to Mexico. And since I came down here, I stayed, in an Airbnb at first to kind of scope out where I wanted to live. And I understand that it's not for everybody. I understand that I'm not only blessed, but highly favored. And with that being blessed and highly favored, there's a certain amount of gratitude that you must maintain in order to maintain that favor.
That's true.
And so from that, it kind of grew. And all these Black people started finding me like, hey, I've been in Mexico for this long and my hair is falling out because of the water.
Oh, wow.
Or my hair is breaking and drying and there's nobody who knows that. These girls did my braids and now my hair is breaking. Another girl one of my clients, her hair was so lush and long and beautiful. And she went to a Caucasian salon. She said, I would have never let them do anything other than wash my hair. This chick washed her hair and ruined it, like literally to the point she had to cut chunks out. It was done on purpose. It was spiteful to this young lady.
Wow.
So when I started realizing that not only could I do what I love, but it was literally in line with my purpose of helping people. Because at the end of the day, that's what's most important. People sitting in a chair here, yes, they get the hair healing, but there's a whole process in the experience that gives them time, that one-on-one time to commune with their creator, respectively. So people get out of my chair saying things like, I was praying for this answer, or, I needed that message. I was waiting for that confirmation, whatever it is. And I never know what's going on. I'm really oblivious to quite a lot in life on purpose because it's a lot to retain.
Right.
But it's a blessing to me that I'm being used as a vehicle, basically, as a vessel. That's to allow people to receive their healing. When people hit me on social media, oh, can you throw some braids in real quick? I'd be like, sis, I'm going to recommend you this really great hair braider and plier. She's dope. I'll send you to her salon, because if you're just looking for quick braids, this is not the service for you.
Right.
And
so your focus is more the healthcare part and the healing for hair, Black hair especially. And your products, are you making the products here as well? And are you able to?
Of the products I make myself. I make them here. They're organic, chemical free. They're all food grade. I always tell everybody, because they're like, oh, it smells so good, I want to eat it. I'm like, you can eat it. It won't make you sick because they're all organic, food grade, materials. However, it probably won't taste good. I don't know if you want to drink rice water mixed with avocado and a peppermint oil.
That sounds good though.
It smells phenomenal. It rejuvenates the scalp. It makes your hair grow faster, stronger, fortifies it. I have various protein treatments that the herbs, and because again, all of it is connected. So it should smell good. I do my best to educate my clients about their hair care. I'm surprised how many people don't know, when you wash your hair normally, when you put conditioner in your hair, don't wash it out with hot water.
Wash it with lukewarm or cold?
Lukewarm or cool water.
Cool water,
because with hot water, you're just stripping the protein right back out of your hair.
Okay.
So little things like that. Things like people are not aware that grease is not what we need in our hair. Greases and oils are great for treatments, for occasional treatments and things like that. But on a day-to-day basis, you need creams, fruits, juices, that moisturize your hair. Just what the same things you need in your body are the same things you need for your hair. Your hair is literally colored skin growing out of your scalp.
Oh, I love it.
The keratin. You know, so it's just cells growing out of your scalp, so it still needs the same nutrition and fortifying that your skin on the inside and outside needs. You need vitamin C, you need vitamin E. Avocado is great. Avocado oil is great for your hair, for your skin. It's great to eat it. It's an excellent fat. So things like that. People are not aware of simple things like greasing your. Do you know where this story always gets everybody? Do you know where the tradition of greasing our scalp comes from?
No, I don't. I just know that we've done it our entire lives, or we're told to do this. Correct.
So greasing your scalp came from when we were still in captivity in the States. There were two things happening at the same time that helped. All of the Caucasian people were getting lice. And we slept in sheds at night that didn't have screens or gaps in the doors. So the mothers would take bacon grease or other types of grease and grease our scalp so that the critters would not hold on to our hair, and we wouldn't end up, they can't hold on to greasy hair.
Right.
So they would do that so that we wouldn't have a bunch of lice in our hair and critters. In addition to making the hair pliable, it was protecting it from the outside sources. The same thing with tying up the bonnet. I'm African. We love to tie our hair up for decoration, celebration.
Right.
I love However, tying up our hair at night for protection, that's another custom that came from being in captivity because we were sleeping in sheds and in fields at night. So the moms tied our hairs up to keep us protected. It was then later utilized by the colonizers as a way to separate us. The people with the good hair were the house niggas, got to wear their hair down because they understood that. They understood straight or wavy. They didn't understand kinky, coily, and curly, and they couldn't get their hair to do it. So you have to tie your hair up. The men too have to wear hats. And that was one of those things, you know, that fed into the colorism. The separation by colorism for us is if your hair was too nappy, you had to tie it up, and you weren't allowed to walk around town like that. So I think the more we learn about where a lot of our traditions and things come from, it makes us more open to creating what's best for us and our hair type individually, as opposed to what we've been told our whole lives. Some people do need a bunch of moisture in their hair all the time, and some people don't.
Yeah, I have a question too, just to clarify, well, not a question, but clarify when we talk about the water in Mexico, because you know, we don't want people to think like, oh my God, I can't wash my hair. It's just that at least over here, there's a lot more calcium. It's harder. So, you know, just to kind of clarify that that's where the damage can come from.
Well, so it depends on where you live and the type of set. So Mexico, yes, they do have some ancient plumbing systems, but first of all, their plumbing systems are the most sophisticated everything AD. They had sophisticated irrigation systems. They were just made out of clay. So people always get it twisted, like, oh, they don't have a good no, their engineering and technology of the system was well advanced beyond anything else in the world for a very long time. The issue is that it's to this day, they have a lot of their irrigation system is still strong, made in clay, and still strong enough to support the various cities. The issue comes in because it's made of clay, there are certain bacteria and things that live in the dirt that will still flow within the septic systems. And even when they connect the new steel pipes and stuff, there are not filters in those systems for those particular types of bacteria. That's where the Montezuma's revenge and those things come from. You know, if your body is not used to that bacteria, it won't kill you. It'll make you sick because your body's not accustomed to it. There are people who become accustomed to it. I'm not trying to go that route, so I don't know personally. As far as the calcium in the water, it's the hard water in the States could be just as damaging if you don't have a filter in your shower head.
Right.
So there are lots of remedies for that here. You can get, you know, you can get a filter for your shower head or for your
water
sink,
system.
whatever. There are options for that using pitchers. But what it is because the septic systems are killing bacteria, there's a lot of sodium naturally from the dirt in the systems, and then also from the various chemicals that they use to mitigate those bacteria. So by the time it gets through your pipes, you'll notice like calcium build up. It's the same in the States. We just have more filters. That's why they have CLR in the States, calcium lime rust, to clean shower heads.
Yeah.
It's the same thing down here. It's just more prevalent because there's less usage of the filters.
Right, exactly.
So it doesn't damage your hair more or less than anywhere else in the world. You just have to be mindful of whether or not you're using hard water.
And also too, I think where you live as well in Mexico, because I noticed here, obviously, we have more season changes than maybe in where you are. It's more tropical. The humidity helps our skin and our hair a lot, probably more so than, you know, someone from another race. And I live in the mountains, so I get that very like harsh, dry season where my skin is miserable, everything about it, and my hair it's just dry here. So those are the times when I really miss living in Florida, because the humidity is like your best friend. But you know, there's all these like different environmental challenges that I think if you're not accustomed to it, and as you said, having the right hair care products, also finding things where you are that are natural, that work for your hair. It's sometimes you have to figure that out, because we can't just pop into a hair shop and pick up blah, 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 blah. So what I've found is a lot of different local things, like for example, aloe vera plant.
I was literally about to say aloe vera
is your best friend.
Even when I make flaxseed gel, it's the same texture as aloe vera. Aloe vera is one of nature's best emollients, hair, skin. If you eat it, it's good for your nails and your hair. If you rub it on your hair, it's great. If you rub it on your skin, it's great. It's natural moisture.
Right.
And there are emollients. Emollients tend to be more oily, like avocado, you know, fatty, greasy, good fats and bad fats are emollients. But moisturizers tend to be like the aloe vera, lavender oil is excellent. If you have irritations or things on your scalp, like a lot of my clients that have alopecia, you know, I'll make various blends and then put the little tea tree or peppermint oil, which helps stimulate growth on the scalp. But there are so many amazing fresh herbs and oils. And you don't even have to go to a specialty store. You can go to the regular supermarket, get hibiscus flowers, you know, get you some regular mint, you know, grind it up, mix it with your oils. I do a lot of brews. I'll show you one of my favorite brews.
Yes, I was going to ask you.
So this is one of my, I don't know if you can kind of see, this is one of my favorite brews. It's a protein treatment, but there's like a bunch of different herbs and stuff that we use in them with natural oils. And it smells amazing. It has, you know, things like lemongrass and rosemary and cloves, all of these other really, really, you know, great natural healing herbs. And depending on the client that I'm using it on, that determines the ratios, because there's still even though, you know, you have all these great ingredients, if you don't put them together, it's a little bit of chemistry involved.
Okay. So when your clients ask you for a product or whatever, is it kind of customized for them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Most of the time, you know, clients don't just walk in and get products. They'll come in for a healing service.
Okay.
And so when they come in, I do an assessment on their hair. I can't tell you how many times people walk in here with one thing in their mind. And then I sit, we, you know, do their assessment. We discuss their options. They're like, oh, I wanted to try that, but I didn't think I could do it. Because, you know, they don't know what is available for them as far as options are concerned. And then, you know, once we figure out what they want to do to their hair, we get to work on blending the various ingredients, because different things do different things. You know, some things are strengtheners, some things fortify, some things are heavier grease than other, heavier oils than other. Some things moisturize better, some things last longer in one person's hair than another. So all of those things are kind of taken into account. The base ingredients are generally the same, but they're tweaked and customized for that specific hair healing need.
I love that. I love that. I love what you're doing. I think that you said it earlier, something along the lines of when we come here, you know, we have a lot of different things that we shed. And then we also are kind of like taking on that whole healing process in so many different facets in our lives, you know, whether it's healing ourselves from, you know, the stresses that we had in the US. It's not that everything's here is just like, you know, free living and it's just easy going and whatever, but I think that we start to become anew. And I feel that even the hair situation and nails and all that, when I first came here, you know, and there's nothing wrong with the weave, sisters, so don't get mad if you're watching this, but you know, I was doing the weave because it was just something I did in Florida. I rarely did braids. I'm not even a huge fan of it, but if I'm traveling, it's easy for me, especially if I'm going to some water feature. I'm like, okay, I don't want to deal with my natural hair. But when I moved here, I remember just wanting to have that shed of, I want my natural hair to grow. I'm going to figure out how to use the local products and I'm going to figure out how to take care of it myself. I knew that I could not have easy access to natural hair care salon for Blacks. So I was determined to just watch videos and locate products that I needed. For example, we were talking about aloe vera. There's so much aloe vera here, just growing wild. I've literally stopped. I'm like a little, you know, Jamaican because I am Jamaican, so I could say this. Whipped out my little knife in my car and chopped off a few pieces and brought it home. And I made my own stuff for my hair. And I had never really tried that in the US. I mean, I've used aloe vera for different things, but not for natural hair care because I always had something else going on with my hair. And it made my hair so soft. And it was a simple mix. And, you know, I just thought to myself, well, you know, I didn't really think about these things before. So the point of saying that is there's so much around us, especially here. It's easy to get herbs. They cost like $1 for a nice size plant. I grow them on my balcony. I have mint. I have an aloe vera, 3 aloe vera plants. And, you know, it's just one of those situations where you start learning how to take care of yourself from a more natural standpoint. You want to eat more fruits. You want to get outside and exercise and do more. So I think what you're doing is absolutely beautiful. I really do. I think there are a lot of women who've come and, you know, they've gone natural. They've done locks, or, you know, they've decided to go with a shortcut. And I think that learning how to take better care of ourselves outside of all the chemicals that we were raised on. You know, I remember from a very young age, oh, I want to get a relaxer, dark and lovely. I want to be dark and lovely, you know, and now that I live here, I want to take care of my hair. You know, I want to do it in a natural way. So I think that's a beautiful thing.
Living here, I think living here makes you want to take care of yourself in general.
Yeah.
Another common thread, like, you know, people talk about, oh, you know, we're so supportive here. In the States, we have the same desire. It's the same desire to support each other, be there for each other. But I think that in our respective home countries, we're so busy trying to survive. We don't have a space to live. I'm a prime example. For a very long time, I made very good money. And I mean very good money living in, you know, in the Northeast. But it was like a hamster wheel. I've always been a nomad. I've always traveled. I've always done these things. But it was like, why can't I save money? I know I make enough money. I know I'm not into frivolous shoes, and, you know, I'm an experienced type of person. You know, I live a simple life, but I love nice things. So, you know, but I love a good experience and I'll pay for it. But why, you know, it just always felt like, oh my God, why? I feel like I'm on this hamster wheel that I can't get off. I can't save money. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't. And then one of the huge deciding factors for me was the fact at one point I drove a Jaguar when I lived in Atlanta, and had all my paperwork, and was legal, and was dropping a friend's husband off we worked together. I was dropping him off at home. I got pulled over for a stop sign, a new stop sign that you can turn right on or whatever. And walking up to my car, the policeman has his hand on his gun. Sir, it was a stop sign. Why do you have your hand on your gun?
Exactly.
What am I doing in a Jaguar? I'm being black in a Jaguar in daylight. It wasn't nighttime for him to, my safety, because there's a black man in the car. And he was a very civilized, a nice young man. But that feeling, and it was right on the tail end at that time of Mike Brown when I was still in Atlanta. So it was like within a couple of days of that. I literally had a whole anxiety attack with my hands on the steering wheel because I just knew I was going to die for being black in my nice Jaguar that was paid for legally with money I earned.
Wow.
And I remember the tears. I was so distraught. The policeman didn't even give me a ticket. He spent the entire time trying to talk to me and talk me down. And all I could ask him, he was like, "Can I see your ID? Why do you have your hands on your gun? Ma'am, I don't, why do you have your hands on your gun? I just need to, why do you have your hands on your gun?"
Yeah,
like that was
exactly.
what I could say to him. And I remember like being like that in the States, worrying about if our kids, our sons and our nephews and our daughters are they're good kids, they're raised right, they do everything right, and then they're black, so they get shot.
Yeah.
We don't have a space to live because we're so worried about surviving that even though our heart's desire, I would love to support my sister or my cousin's candle making business, but I can't send her $20 because I'm paying $3,000 for this little tiny box that I hope nobody comes and shoots me in.
Exactly. Or you're driving a car that costs an arm and a leg, not necessarily your Jag, but just the insurance, the car payment, the this, the that, the taxes. It's like every time you turn around, like you said, you're earning good money, because it was the same for my husband and I. I had my business, I had rental income, he had a job, he had also rental income, and it was just constant. I mean, like a car breaks down and it's like $2,000 to fix it. There was always something, and you just feel like you cannot come up for proper air. And there's always an issue, there's a challenge, there's a child with a problem, it doesn't end. And I was just like, I just want to drop it all.
It's different here. People, what it is that we become accustomed to that. So that's real life for us. You don't know you're in the matrix till you get out of the matrix.
Exactly.
We didn't know we were on a hamster wheel till we got off the hamster wheel.
Exactly. Because
then you get here and you realize, yes, I still adult. I still have my online stuff that I do in addition to my hair healing stuff. I still, on a daily basis, I'm adulting and paying. It's cheaper, but it still has to be paid for.
Right.
So we're still working. We're still doing all these other things. Then you realize I have a space to breathe because I can afford where I live and still, I don't have to go to whole paycheck. That's what we call Whole Foods.
Right. To buy something healthy. Yeah, I remember that.
Spend a regular amount of money and not be charged extra because it's healthy. If anything, I get charged more if it's unhealthy.
That's true. All the imported junk food. It does. I mean, and it's a brand, and they charge you for that. They charge a premium, but you can go to an organic market or an outdoor market and get stuff.
Eggs, everything. It's cheap enough that even if you don't have money, everybody eats. Medicine, the healthcare system. Yet of course, there's no healthcare system in the world. It's perfect. But the fact that the same insulin that they charge $300 a vial for in the States, you can get for less than $50 a vial here.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And how they're well aware of it is you're not allowed to ship. You can fly with it.
Yeah. But you can't ship it
because the FDA rules and this rules and that rules and this rules. They're aware of it. And what I'm finding is that the propaganda that's kind of spread in the States is that anywhere outside of the US is a third world country. And they call it that because they know if you take your US money, which it's legal to take your money anywhere you want to go in the world, they don't tell you that.
Right.
If you take your money and you go anywhere else in the world, you're going to get more bang for your buck.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And they don't want to tell you that because then you take your money out of the US economy. So of course we have to make everywhere in the world look like, you know, look like it's third world and a trap, and you're going to go there
unsafe, dangerous, dangerous,
and they're going to rape you and take all your money because you don't speak Spanish, which is ludicrous.
Yeah, exactly. So don't believe the hype. And that's why we do what we do. So we can, you know, literally educate people on other experiences. Like you said, it's not for everyone. Not everyone wants to leave their comfort zone. It does take, you know, some gut, not a ton. It does take some gut and some planning, but I really think that one of the things I constantly try to shatter is stop thinking about everything in the exact terms of where you are. Stop thinking about how do I make money and how do I get a job? And it's like, yes, money is important. Yes, you need it, but you don't need as much. You don't have to work in a corporate situation. There's so many opportunities here that I think if you have a skill set or even something you just enjoy doing, like you loved hair, you said you did it, it was your natural kind of ability. You were drawn to that from when you were a child. I've always loved decorating. You know, that's my natural thing. I just could look at a house and be like, okay, this goes over there. This is crooked. You got to open that space up. It was just a natural thing. So maybe there's something that you, or multiple things that you enjoy doing. And once you put your mind to it, there's so many people out here, especially Black women, who are helping other people and other Black women or women in general to formulate an idea, to make it happen, make it work. And I think that you have to have that openness to see beyond the job, you know, the 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying?
A large piece of that kind of goes back to, you have to have faith. You have to establish and build up and fortify your faith, because once faith is not understanding it or, you know, or just blindly. Faith doesn't mean that I'm blindly going into anything. Faith means that even if I make these plans and everything goes left, that I trust my creator always has something better for me.
Exactly.
You need a little bit of that. You need a lot of bit of that in Mexico, because, you know, the best laid plans often go wrong.
That's true. That's true.
It's really a good thing. I've had friends that will come visit. Why it take them so long to make the food? Because everything is made fresh, and it will absolutely be worth the wait. And you probably needed to sit down and decompress so you don't give yourself indigestion.
Exactly. Chill out for a minute.
That greater outcome is. I found that even on the timing thing, you have to get used to everything moves at a slower pace, but that's a good thing. Because I found that I'm very respectful of people's times. I never intentionally am late or early or whatever. But I find that when those instances do happen and you get delayed inexplicably, that you still end up wherever you were in perfect divine timing.
Absolutely.
So it allows you to breathe and relax. I rush for nothing. I had a client just hit me up and say, hey, I wanted to do this, but I only have 2.5 hours for this. I said, well, then schedule for another day. Because one thing we don't do is rush. It won't take me long. It'll probably take me less than 2 hours. That's not the point. You need to be in a mindset where you're not rushed and, you know, on to the next thing and just all over the place, because it leaves room for error and bad feelings. In order to cultivate good vibes, pura vida, you have to slow down. Mexico will teach you to slow down, breathe, and be patient.
Exactly.
And everything will happen according to he, she, it, they, them, whatever you call them. But everything will happen according to his purpose. And once you're in that space, it doesn't matter what else is happening around. You're going to be able to go with the flow. And you'll find out that it all worked out in your benefit anyway. Your food's going to be better, and people are going to be nicer. They'll appreciate more. You're going to learn a new language. You're going to get, I was light skinned when I got to Mexico. I love my
That's
tan,
true.
you know.
That's
So
true. I miss my tan.
The biggest thing I would share for anybody even considering Mexico is let go of your expectations, and you literally have to let go and let God.
Exactly.
And be okay with that. Make your plans. Make your plans. That's fine. But when they go left or go right, don't let that shape the vision, because the vision is greater than anything that your little human mind can even wrap itself around.
No, it's true. And also, if you're able to get here, and when you get here, like, just consider that like a huge accomplishment. You know what I'm saying? Like, in so many ways, it's an accomplishment from a personal level. It's an accomplishment for your future. If you have children or grandchildren, I feel like we've created a legacy, you know, and that path of, no, I'm not going to stay in Connecticut. No, I'm not going to be stuck in Florida. No, you know, we already have passports for grandkids at the age of 5. I didn't have that, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like you're creating a whole new thing for the future and generations to come, where those younger people and younger kids have the opportunity to go somewhere new, experience something new, experience a new language. I mean, we drove a lot around the US, fortunately, because some people don't even leave their town. My family, like as I said earlier, I'm originally from Canada. My parents are Jamaican. They migrated to Canada in the 60s, but we moved then to Connecticut, my immediate family. So I already had like a little bit of a sense of, you know, traveling around and things like that, but going to like a whole another country where the language was different, the culture, the food, the everything, that wasn't something I got to do as a child. We did this I did it as an adult. So it's so kind of like moving for me when we are able to bring our grandkids down. My husband and I, we brought our grandkids down 2 years ago for the summer, and they just had such a blast. And they still talk about it. You know, they were learning Spanish, you know, they were able to partake in a lot of things that cost so much in the US to have, you know, your child do piano. They did camp, you know, my son does like taekwondo, robotics class, you know, you have all these like things. So I feel that people have to step back, like you said, from the inconveniences and, you know, the slowness of things, or hey, I can't just walk into, you know, I think about this is like cheesy, but I sometimes think about, oh, if I could just go to the dollar store and get blah, 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 blah. Like today I was looking for a poncho, you know, the little plastic ones. And I know that I could probably find that at the dollar store or Walmart. And I'm thinking today, like, where could I go to get a poncho? I mean, it's not a big deal, but you know, these are the like little things sometimes I think we get caught up with, and we're like, oh, you know, it's so hard to find. But if you step back and think about, I'm in another country, life is good, you know, the people are kind and generous. I have services that I can afford to pay for on a regular basis. Yeah, I have so much more than I did in the US. My quality of life went from here to here. Then you really start really appreciate where you are. Everyone in general is just kind and helpful, and let go of all that, you know, frustration. Oh, this took a long time, or I don't understand what they're saying, or why is this so slow, or blah, 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 blah.
Expectations. I think if you let go of the expectations, people come over to Mexico with American expectations.
Exactly.
If you have American expectations, then you can stay in America with them, and American expectations will have you feeling unsafe.
Right. This is true.
So it's so, you know, and it's the only thing that I have not been able to get in Mexico that I absolutely love has been snow crab legs. I can get king crab.
Really? Okay.
Snow crab, because you can't get them in the Caribbean, period, because it's cold water. It's snow crab.
That's true. That's true.
So if you do get them anywhere in the Caribbean, they're not going to be fresh. So outside of that, you can literally get anything that you want in Mexico. Somebody will find it for you. If they don't know where to get it, they'll find you somebody who knows how to get it. So it's the inconveniences are so minute for the, you know, for the trade-off. But it comes down to what's important to you and what you prioritize. If your priority is more, I don't know, being able to go to a dollar, which by the way, there are thousands of dollar stores if you know where to go. You just have to know.
Well, there's definitely one at the what is it called here? The Bodega Aurora,
Yeah,
which is owned by Walmart.
We have a Walmart with a dollar store in the Walmart, and then across the street, a store, the Waldo's, Wally's, or something. Well, all of those are dollar stores.
Okay.
But if you don't know where to find something, you ask somebody, you'll be able to find it.
Exactly.
So it's not you're not missing anything.
Right.
It's an inconvenience from the level that you're used to expecting.
Right.
And that's what it is. It's the expectation of entitlement. And I think the disconnect for a lot of, personally, my people, my Black people that still live in the States that are relatives or friends of mine, the disconnect for them is they don't realize how entitled they are and how entitled they sound when they show up in Mexico and they're, well, nobody speaks English?
I know, right? You're like, are they supposed to?
And I have to tell them, you sound real gringo right now. Just letting you know. Or where can I go get some American food?
Oh my gosh.
There are restaurants with American food that I can take you to. But if you're coming here and the restaurant you're asking me to take you to is one with American food, you need to take a long hard look on why you're even traveling. Why are you leaving the country if you don't want anything but American food? You can get that, you know, it's fine to try. I like trying American food while I'm out, but I like trying everything when I'm out.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same. It really just falls into the intention and the motivation. I feel the same way about interracial dating. I have no problem with interracial dating. I think you love who you love, you know, man, woman, child, as long as who you sleeping with and who I'm sleeping with and not the same person is none of my business.
That's true.
But what I have a problem with is when people of another race say, oh, well, I'll only date a Black man, or I won't date somebody of my own race. That sounds ignorant to me. Yeah. So I kind of level that up with, oh no, just take me somewhere that serves American food here. Right. It's that same level of, you know, it's not about the food, but it's about your expectation and your attitude and your mindset being that because I'm American, everybody in the world should have American food, American things, and speak American, not English, but speak American. Right, exactly. Because that's two different things. Exactly.
No, it's true. It's true. I mean, right, girl, I know. I've heard it. I've seen it. I mean, I can say for convenience sake, you know, if like, for example, I chose San Miguel probably more so because it is easy to integrate into San Miguel. And there are services and things where, you know, a lot of folks speak the language, but I always ask and I always try in Spanish. You know, I'll start my conversation with Spanish. It sounds great. And then, you know, I get to hablas inglés, and, you know, just because there's certain things that I do feel like I want to be clear. But when I go to other places where I know there are hardly any people who speak English, I just do my best, you know, and I try and I don't get frustrated or upset, or I tune into, okay, if this is becoming a little complicated, what can I do to better understand what's being asked of me or what I'm asking of them? And I think that is why we choose to travel, or you should choose to travel, because you are trying to understand where you are, and you are trying to understand that culture, and you are trying to experience what's in front of you and not what you left behind, right, from that flight. So I think that I always tell people, just come with a very open mind, come with less expectations, and just really try to enjoy yourself. You know, that's the biggest key. So what do you find about living in Playa del Carmen in regard to cost of living? Because I know people always want to know this. You know, what would you say your savings are percentage-wise? I always say it's like a third.
Well, it depends on if you're on the central side, you know, the side that everybody chooses to live on, it's closer to the beach. More people speak English. a lot more things are American standard. As far as, hotels and things like that are concerned. They cater to tourists on that side. So you'll find a lot of things that are more familiar and comfortable, which is great if you're vacationing. Like that's an experience that everybody needs to have vacationing. I'm speaking from an expat's point of view. I prefer to live on this side of the bridge. So in Central, you'll still cut your American living costs by at least a third, depending on your standard of living. If you're living higher end in the US on a more luxurious high end scale in the US, you'll cut your costs in half and still live comfortably out here. If you're living average in the US, you'll come out here and live comfortably and cut your costs by at least a third.
Right, okay.
Where I am now, I live on the other side of the bridge, just across. I'm not deep into the local area. I'm still walking distance from Central. But where I live, I pay a third for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. It came furnished with everything except the living room furniture. Internet was included, water, all of that was included. And I was paying a third of what I was paying for a 1-bedroom apartment in Connecticut.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's significant.
1-bedroom apartment in Connecticut.
Right. Right. And I always say that to people, like your costs are definitely about a third less, and I also say too, because people always ask, oh, what's the cost of living? How much is this? How much is that? And I say, you know what? It is what you want it to be. I mean, I really think it's possible for you to find very affordable, very cheap, and also very expensive. That's kind of a personal choice. And also, like we've been saying the whole time about our conveniences, right? I think sometimes people have this mindset of, I have to have everything right here, and I want it to be this, and I want this much space.
I need this. No, I don't. My laundry service, when I got here, I used to use a laundry service 3 blocks away. I loved her. She's an amazing lady, Lucy. They do it by kilograms. And I would get my laundry washed, dried, and folded. The equivalent of about $7, which was washed, dried, and folded and bagged. And then I would go pick them up for less than $7. And it would cost me more than $7 just to wash them in a laundromat. That's
right, exactly. So that would be about $7 for a kilo per kilo.
No, it's like 14 pesos per kilo.
Okay.
So if it ends up being, like because of the salon, I have a lot of towels. So my towels tend to be heavy, which is a lot of weight by kilos.
Right.
So then I got a service where they don't do it by kilos, they do it by the bagfuls. Each bag that you fill up is 150 pesos to wash, dry, and fold. Nice. And pick up and delivery is 40 pesos, which is the equivalent of $2.20.
Right. And just so people understand that are not in Mexico, 150 pesos is like $7, about
less than $8. It's like less than. Right now, the current exchange rate, it's about $7.60 something cents, and the delivery fee is about $2. So basically, for $10, the average, not always, 15 is my average, and that's because I have a lot of towels because of the salon. But average with my towels in my salon, I spend less than $10 to have all my laundry picked up, washed, dry, folded, and delivered.
And delivered back to your house.
And it costs more than that to wash one load of the amount of clothes.
Exactly. And it comes back smelling amazing. And the service, the folding is like you just picked it up off the shelf at the store. So
it's the folding for me. It's the folding for me. Because even when I have a washer and dryer, it might take me a week, if ever.
To fold.
My clothes sit in the basket. I have to put them back in the dryer to de-wrinkle them because they sat in the basket so long.
Right.
And then I've already washed, dried, fluffed, and folded, packaged neatly, and brought to my door for less than $10. It costs me more than that to drag them to the laundromat and put them in the washing machine myself.
Right.
So those are some of the little, advantages that you get here. Another really interesting one. In the States, I won't touch KFC with a 10-foot pole. I just wouldn't. And here, because I had the inkling to use Rappi, love Rappi. Oh my gosh. So Rappi, for whoever's watching that doesn't know, Rappi is a Mexican version of Uber Eats, except better. Because Rappi, you can not only order food, they'll do your grocery shopping. You can shop at Walmart. You can shop for your pets. You can shop for household supplies. You can shop
whatever you want,
anything you want, and they will pick it up and deliver it. They even have a service that if you wanted something that is not included on Rappi, you can order it, and Rappi will go pick it up and deliver it for you.
Nice.
And the cost is general average less than $2 for delivery.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds about right. Like 50 pesos.
I went to the States and used Uber Eats for something, and the delivery costs more than the food.
No.
I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta get back. But it's, the conveniences are just amazing once you know about and it's not for everybody. Somebody might not want to spend an extra $2-3 for a delivery, and they can walk 2 blocks up and get the same laundry service for the same money or less.
Right.
So, we've come with, at first I was like, oh my gosh, my place doesn't have a washer and dryer. I'm going to be doing hair. I need a washer and dryer. I can't live life without a washer and dryer because I've always had a washer and dryer.
Right.
And then I figured out that for less than $10 a week, I don't need a washer and dryer.
Exactly. And that's the beautiful thing about here. I feel like when I moved here, I think most of us come with the cost conscience in mind, right? We're worried about, not worried, but we're excited to save money. But in addition to saving money, there's so many more things that you get. And I keep having this conversation with various people, and in my interviews, I bring it up a lot. But it's just, and I don't say everything because I don't want it to sound like I'm bragging, but it's just so easy to get things done. And even if you wanted to be like uber lazy, you wouldn't even have to leave your house. They could bring you your groceries. They can come to your house to do your nails. They can come to your house to do a massage. They can come to your house and clean, come to your house to cook for you. And it's affordable. This is not us watching this on TV, right? And the 1% in the US that has all of this stuff, and there's no shame in their game. So it's sort of one of those things where sometimes initially as a Black person, I'm kind of like, oh, I should be moving around and I should be helping with that, or I should and then a little by little you realize, okay, well, there are plenty of other people who have money in the US that do this on a regular basis. So why not us as well enjoy the same conveniences and same services?
I think there's a couple of pieces to that. The first thing I wanted to make sure to, we're grateful because we're in a position we can afford that. People have to understand that we're coming in with American money, so we have more money. If you're earning a Mexican wage, they're living like we're living in America day to day. They don't do all the maid service and the laundry service. They do it themselves, just like we do it ourselves in the States.
Yep.
We're just in a position that we're blessed. It means, so I have to remind my visiting friends to be conscious to not say, oh, this is so cheap and this is so that.
Right.
Because for us, it's cheap because if you're only making 1,000 pesos a week, 100 pesos is not cheap.
Right.
100 pesos is $5, and that's 10% of your entire income.
Exactly.
So $5 is cheap for a meal for me, but that doesn't make sense for one meal for a family that's making 1,000. So we always have to keep those things in mind, the cost of living versus the value of our money. But also, I think that the majority of us, specifically Black women, are taught that if we're not doing something for somebody else or being productive for someone else in that moment, that we have less value.
Right.
And if we're doing something for ourselves, well, that's selfish because we're devaluing everybody else in an effort to take care of ourselves. And what's crazy is that it's so far from the truth. We're actually valuing other people more by giving ourselves that space to just be and not and be in a state of self-care where
Right.
we're rejuvenating, replenishing, not soaking up all our energy doing all these menial things that God has blessed us to be able to afford.
Exactly. And that's okay.
And then have it detached from our family life or whatever. You know, now you have the energy to play with your grandkids. Also, grandkids, here, sis. But now you have the energy to play with the grandkids because the laundry and the food was taken care of. If you spent the half the day cooking and cleaning, when the grandkids come to play, Nana tired.
Just want to sit down, exactly, and chill, exactly.
So being able to utilize these gifts to us, these are gifts to us to be able to afford a service. And it also helps us to give back to the community and the economy.
Absolutely.
The people here are struggling through the pandemic too. It's not just us, everybody all over the world. And not just the people who do tourist stuff. The regular day-to-day businesses, between people dying of COVID and being scared to go to work, they're suffering.
Yeah, exactly.
So anytime I hire somebody to do my maid service or to do my laundry, I'm giving somebody else a job. It's not just me, you know, not just me spending money frivolously. I'm stimulating the economy. And the last piece I want to tack onto that though is to be conscious of, because I'm a good tipper in general in life. I've always been, I used to work in the service industry. So that's a real personal thing for me. However, I had to learn when I first got here to not over tip too much. Over tipping actually ruins the economy, not for the businesses, it ruins it for the workers. Because what happens is the establishments realize if you're tipping a third or more of your check, and their server is still making money, they realize they can raise their prices and their server will still make their living wage.
Exactly.
So I'm kind of conscious to keep it at 20%, you know, between 15 and 20% standard, unless I'm getting if I get super excellent service, I'll tip a little more.
Right. And but also it drives, and it also drives up the cost for the locals, and they aren't making more money. You know, in general, like the average, at least here in San Miguel, the average salary for a 40-hour week, almost not every job, but just let's call it their minimum wage, is 2,000 pesos. It's like 1,800 to 2,000 pesos a week, which is barely $100 a week. So that gives you some perspective. And I think that the average tipping, from what I've been told, is like 10 to 15%. I used to do 20 because I was just like, that's what we're used to doing in the US. So I kind of do 15 if it's like a really nice high end and I get great service. And I always give, you know, my nail, like anyone that's given me a personal service, a massage, I give them 20% because I just, you know, I'm like, okay, that's not costing me a lot. And normally these folks are independent workers that come to my home. And so I'll give them the 20%. But in keeping with what you were saying, that third point was that when we start coming in, it's a plus because yes, we are pouring into the economy, but when it starts driving, first of all, there's always going to be gentrification, you know, no matter how much that might burn some of us, it happens. But we also have to be aware of the cost for the locals. You know, their cost is now being driven up. So, you know, yeah, we go to a nice fancy restaurant and say, well, this meal was not that expensive and it's great and the ambiance and blah, 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 blah. The cost for all the things around that cost more for the locals. So they're not able to enjoy it in the same way. So yes, there's that, you know, fine balance where, you know, you have to be considerate of paying someone fairly, but also understanding that if I overpay, the cost goes up. And so if a local calls maybe that same person out to come and do this work on their house, it might cost them a lot more. They may have to go to a different provider, a different vendor, or you know, a different local nail place because it's so much more expensive. And it's unfortunate. I mean, I do think that we've become a big melting pot here in San Miguel, but I know that things here cost a lot more. Rents are higher, Airbnbs are higher. You know, there's some services that might cost a lot more, but for us, it's not seen that way. But for sure, the locals, you know, have to still shop at the little stores. They're not necessarily going to La Comer to do their grocery shopping because it's pricier, you know. I mean, sometimes I go there, like initially I wasn't so mindful of the conversion. And I've shared this experience as well. I remember my first or second shopping trip, I had to buy stuff because I didn't have anything. I didn't have seasonings. I didn't have cleaning supplies. And so I was just dumping stuff in my cart. I was just like, oh yeah, I need this. And I remember I got home and I sort of looked at my receipt and there was one item that was like 599 pesos. And I was just like, what the heck? You know, like, what's that? And I did the conversion and it was like $30. And I said, what did I pick up? That one item that was 30 US dollars. And I went back to the store, you know, and I just asked, I was like, just show it to me. I want to know what this is because I couldn't understand it. At the time, my Spanish wasn't great. So the girl walked me over to the product and it was one of those 2-pound containers that you can buy at Costco's, the Kirkland brand of cashews. And I was just like, I know these are $20 in the US. And I just grabbed it. And so I started thinking about things and I said, okay, don't take it for granted and don't just like throw things in the cart, like really try to make the conversion or just buy those. I started just buying those items at Costco's directly because it was the same price as the US if you buy it at Costco's. But it just made me think about it. And, you know, initially I felt like things are so cheap, but there are some things that are not. So I think that being mindful of making that conversion money wise, I've had people do work. Most people are very fair, very affordable, but every now and then, you know, there's someone who's like overcharging for something because you're not paying attention, you know,
Yeah,
and that
it comes
happens.
down to just kind of, you know, I think if you set the intention to be respectful,
Right.
it encourages you to do the other things and not be lazy in the conversion. You don't even have to
Right.
do the math in your head. Everybody has a calculator on their phone. Like
Yeah.
you do the, you know, like do the conversion on your phone instead of just, you know, always expecting a local and then questioning them when they do it. You know, like
Exactly.
I just the
20 to 1.
overall the experience of living here has been amazing. Just to touch
Absolutely.
base on what you're talking about, the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter is now 23.
Mm-hmm.
She's in graduate school, which is the only reason she hasn't moved abroad permanently because
Good
we
for
got
her.
paid.
Right.
But since she's young, I've always made sure she's traveled a lot to New York, you know, all throughout the states.
Mm-hmm.
And when she went to college, I handed her passport and I said these words. I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but I'm glad I said it because she didn't listen to much else, but she listened to these words. And I handed her her passport and I said, anywhere in the world that they ask you if you want to go, just say yes.
Exactly.
Don't worry about money. Don't worry about social climate. Don't worry about what the people think. If you don't speak the language, if you don't eat the food, just go. If it's in your heart to go, go. And that is the same advice that I would give to anybody who even has the spark in their spirit. Not even necessarily to move. I mean, but even just to go. Just go see.
Exactly.
It's always worse in your head than it is in real life.
Exactly.
And I think the people who ask the most questions build themselves up in their head and literally talk themselves out of it. Have the conversation with your creator and go.
Exactly.
Because we have a luxury that most people in the world don't have, in that if you get here and you don't like it, you can go back.
Exactly.
There are people all over the world that leave their home countries, and if they don't like it, it's too bad. They don't have a way to go back.
Right. They don't have that same, you know, option. And I say that all the time. I'm like, we are very privileged that we, you know, privileged on one hand. I mean, there are a lot of things that we could complain about the US, you know, especially coming from a Black perspective, but we do have the option to go back. We have the option to take advantage of certain opportunities that are not afforded in other countries. And yeah, you know, you can turn around and say, all right, I'm going to drive back up from Mexico or fly back up from Mexico if you move to Mexico. But we can get back to the US and kind of, you know, I'm sure there's a job somewhere that could be found and, you know, certain situations. Yeah, you know.
There always is. I think people allow fear. Like one of the things for me when I was throwing away and getting rid of everything, it was so like a lot of people like it's hard to purge. It's always been hard for me to purge. I come from a long line of hoarders of nice things. So you know, it's kind of in my bloodline. Oh gosh, I can't get rid of this thing. Will I ever get it again? And what I think if people start like just take a breath and think about how many cars have you had in your life?
True.
How many couches have you had in your life? How many new pairs of shoes have you had in your life? How many microwaves have you bought in your life? If it's more than one, you can get it again.
Exactly.
You can get it again.
Exactly.
It's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. The absolutely, I love to play worst case scenario. Absolute worst case scenario. You get here, you hate it, and you go back and you have to start over. But did you die?
Exactly. And is it hard to get those things again? Nope, not at all.
It's never. Even you might pay a little more if your credit bad, but you still get it.
That's true. But you know, it's also good to purge. I mean, I think that moving here is also one of those layers that you don't realize that we get sedentary in the US and we sit in our space and we keep collecting things. Sometimes you don't go through stuff annually or every 6 months and just say, you know, do I really need this? Is it just cluttering my space? Am I using it? Can someone else use it? And then when you're moving internationally, like you said, you had 2 check bags and a suit and 1 carry-on. It's such a breath of fresh air to kind of just unload. And I feel like that's also a part of the new chapter, the new life, the new experience is I can go somewhere else and not necessarily start over from scratch per se. It's just start with a different perspective of not having to make all these decisions of what do I bring? What should I take? Should I bring this chair? Should I bring, you know, it's like, you know what, just go and enjoy that new thing.
People don't realize, well, I know I can't speak for the people. I didn't realize how much I didn't need until I came to Mexico. And I was like, all these things that I hold on to, I've lived without them for months and didn't even miss them.
Yeah,
didn't even miss them, didn't even know that I didn't have them here with me or whatever. So I think that's you know, that's the best piece of advice that I could give anybody is trata. Trata. No la trata. That means just try.
Exactly.
Just try it. You don't like it, that's all right. Try it. Take a bite. If it tastes bad, rinse your mouth out with some water.
And do something different, right?
Don't know what you like until you try it.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Mimi. I really appreciate, we've been like, I always end up doing almost a 2-hour interview with everyone. I'm like, I hope people are appreciating this, you know, chit chat. Yeah, but tell me, share your Instagram. I see your beautiful mural on the back wall.
This is Nani. She's part of our hair healing experience, but my Instagram is Mimi_hair healer, hair healer, spelled just like it sounds, MI_hair healer. In Playa de Carmen, but I do travel. I have travel kits and usually Black people in other Mexican communities will get together collectively and be like, "Ooh, 6 of us need our locks done."
Yeah.
So come out here. We'll, you know, we'll collectively pay you to come out and stay out here or whatever. And so I've done that quite a bit. And and it's just been amazing. It's been a beautiful adventure. I've gotten to meet so many just awesome souls, like just awesome people, you know, Black, white, and otherwise, but just some amazing, phenomenal people. And the fact that so many of them are Black makes my heart even happier. So
exactly. No, I love that. So, and also tell us like what your specialty is. I mean, I know it's the hair healing. Do you do everything natural braid hair? Just to list it, because I think we could get a group here together in San Miguel because we did do that once, and we had about 6 ladies, and we wanted our hair braided. I would love just natural hair care. I'm just dying for someone to come and just do that.
I pretty much do everything. Like I said, I've been doing hair 37 years, so I have worked with chemicals. I prefer not to work with chemicals when I'm given the options. I've had people, can you dye my hair? I can. We'll talk about it when I see your hair. But I do braids, weaves, twists, locks, press outs, blowouts, locks. I specialize in locks. I do interlock as well as retwisting. I make a lot of hair. I make a very special deep cleansing and deep conditioning natural products for various hair ailments, specifically locks. I have a ton of Black Beauty Supplies, actual braiding hair, colors, Marley hair, crochet hair, leave-in conditioners for our type of hair. So there's a whole, I bring actual combs, bonnets, do-rags, wave caps, rollers and hairpins and rubber bands, shea butter. I even have cast out peppermint soap. Oh, nice. Because it's so expensive here. I get the big bottles and I just let people purchase them in smaller bottles. So we're not paying such a huge cost on it. Anything that's imported here is going to be a ridiculous cost in the store. And like I said, people, for me, when I go get a ticket, to buy a ticket and bring a suitcase back for less than what it costs to ship. And it helps to benefit the community collectively. So you guys see me put a post, say, hey, I'm coming from the States. Get your order, and that means I'm bringing back stuff, and it's easier to ship within Mexico. Than to ship from the States to Mexico.
It's very affordable. So I've actually seen your post, and I actually have a closet full of stuff, but that was before I met you. But I know that there are a lot of ladies here that are always looking for things, so I will for sure refer them to you. Do you have like a site, or is it just your Instagram, Facebook?
Prior to this, it was literally just word of mouth. With lots of encouragement from some of my younger counterparts, I finally gave in and did the Instagram, and I have someone that everybody thinks it's me on the page. I check the page, but she actually runs it for me. I send her the video because I know nothing about reels and that kind of stuff.
Me neither. I have a VA, and she just handles it.
And she posts reels, and she just contacts me, hey, there's a question, go in their box and check it. But I'm usually in here doing hair. I was doing hair this morning. So I'm very rarely actually on social media. But the Instagram page is specifically designed to answer the questions. There's a frequently asked question highlights. There's a lot of video and pictures to kind of share with people what the experience is. And then when they decide that it's something they want to do, they can inbox. In the frequently asked questions, going to tell you, send me a picture of your hair, send me a picture of the desired style, and then we go from there. And then I'll let you know if it's something that can't be done or that I can't do, I'll let you know that, look, I can't do this. I can refer you to someone who is, or I can recommend something in my professional opinion. But communication is key. A lot of people show you a picture. Look, I want to look like Beyonce. And I'm like, sis, first of all, your skin is clearer than Beyonce's. So you might want this hairstyle instead. It's similar, but this would be more suited to your face, the way your face is shaped, the way your eyes are shaped, the skin tone as far as the hair color. I've had someone come in and say, I want this color. And I'm like, it's not flattering to you. And I show them another color and they're like, oh, wait, I like that color better. So I do my best to make sure that people are authentically themselves, that their experience is true to them and not just some aesthetic that they saw. There's nothing wrong with inspiration. I love your braids and I love that style, but my shape might be different because I'll flip it to the side instead of having it down, so inspiration is great, but I think part of my purpose is helping people to identify and continue on their very specific journey. Which makes it more valuable and makes it better. Like, it would suck if I had your journey. I wouldn't know what to do with that.
Exactly. I wouldn't know what to do with yours either, right? Even though we're Rolling Stones. We have at least that in common.
At least
No,
you
no,
roll
I
it down
appreciate it.
the hill.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I need you to roll over to San Miguel and do some hair for us because I did this yesterday and
It looks good.
thanks. I watched a few videos. I was actually trying to do twist and it was just not on my side. So I did like 7 of them and I was like, ew, okay, that's not going to last for the next couple of days. But my arms and my back, I was so tired last night and I was just like, this is for the birds. I just want to have a salon or someone I could just show up because that's what I did in the US. I mean, I loved doing hair when I was a child and I would cornrow and French braid and whatever. And I like it every now and then, but it's not my thing.
It's different
And
to do it every day.
yeah, and I'm just kind of at a place right now where it's not overly convenient and to go somewhere and just get it done. We brought someone from Playa a few months ago, and we collectively gathered all the ladies that wanted their hair done, and we paid for them to come and whatever. And it was a great experience, But the thing is that I didn't want to have them come back and do the same thing. I was just kind of like, you know what? I just want to have some natural hair care or something else. It would be nice to just walk into a place and be able to get our hair did, right? It's about that time.
We'll set up something over time. I've actually been working more for the younger girls, but actually doing some classes, some natural hair care classes.
Nice.
To teach the young ladies how to care for your natural hair, no matter where you are, no matter what ingredient you have. So when you don't have access to Carol's daughter or Miguel or whatever you're using,
mixed chicks,
that you can take some aloe vera, which you can get anywhere, and you can get some, some tea tree oil or peppermint oil or avocado oil and mix it up together. Now you have the best hair gel for your type of hair.
Yeah.
Teaching them, the different things like that, I think is going to be important because like you said, I'd love to fly all over, do everybody's hair. Even after you do your hair, you still need that education piece. So you're
exactly. And even, maybe. Yeah, no, I would love that. I would love some of your oils for my hair. So we're definitely going to have to connect somewhere along the way because I have products and stuff, but they're mostly store-bought from the US and I use them religiously. I have my, conditioners and blah, blah, blah. But I know that there are a lot of things here locally that in Mexico, I believe in oils. I do think that the natural herbs that have grown around us our entire lives that we haven't been taught how to use them or how to incorporate them into our day-to-day, either whether we're eating or we're using them on our skin. I think that that's key. And those are the things I really like to learn about and, extend my kind of products to more natural things. I think one of the struggles that I've run into is I'll make something like rice water with whatever, and then it sits and then I don't use it in time. And, it's just understanding like, well, what's the shelf life of this? How long can I utilize aloe vera in the bottle in the refrigerator? I don't want to necessarily pull it out a month later or whatever. So just kind of stuff like that. And I think the struggle has been that now that I live in Mexico and I can't just go to a salon, making some time to really teach myself how do I take care of this myself, and do a good job at it. And then in between, call Mimi so she can come and do it for me. We need you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for the time, and I appreciate you being here. And I will make sure that I get all your information and put it in the description. And yeah, we'll definitely connect again. I would love to see what else you're up to in Playa. So for anyone who's interested in moving to Playa or visiting Playa, connect with Mimi online at IG, Mimi_hair health.
Hair healer.
Hair healer. I was trying to see a little bit on the side there. Hair healer. Exactly. All right. I'll get it right in the description for sure. Thank you so much, Mimi. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
You too.
All right. Bye. Igualmente. Gracias.